Everybody, how's it going? Okay, so today I wanted to share a dream that I had had that was really bizarre. It's one of the most bizarre dreams I've ever had, but it's related to Christmas, and Christmas is coming up in a few days. So I thought that it was worth sharing, especially since I haven't made a video in a while. So I had this dream where pretty much everything was exactly the same as it is now, but almost everybody I interacted with on a daily basis, people were telling me Merry Christmas and talking about Santa Claus as if Santa Claus were a real person and were real. That Santa Claus was watching them, and they were very concerned with what Santa Claus thought of them. They imagined that Santa Claus was actually watching them and making a list of the things that they've done. They were worried that they might get coal in their stockings, and that they wouldn't get the presents that they were hoping for. And um, they would, talk about Santa Claus in sort of really interesting ways. They'd have all sorts of phrases with Merry Christmas and Jolly and those sorts of these very warm, fuzzy words, which was actually kind of cool. But after a while, it started to get a little bit weird that normal adults would still believe in Santa Claus, despite everything that we know that Santa Claus isn't real. So I started to kind of probe a bit and ask some questions. And I'd ask them, well, how do you know that Santa Claus is real if you haven't seen him? And they would sort of get a little bit offended. And I even said, well, is it possible that some people, like corporations, are kind of using the idea of Santa Claus to maybe take and get people to buy more things that they don't really need? And people would sort of really didn't like my questions. And they'd always come up with some sort of rationalization for the questions that I had. So I'd ask them, okay, so if Santa Claus's elves made and got you that iPhone X, how is it that it has a serial number that can be traced to Apple? And, they talk about the mystical ways of Santa Claus and that he uses ways that we just don't understand. And they also then would say, well, what if, you could trace like how that person's bank account, their money went down. They wrapped there's every evidence that they wrapped the present. The sticker on the present is in their handwriting. How do you still believe that was Santa's elves? And so then some people would then make a concession and say, okay, so it was really my parent who bought me the gift, but Santa inspired them to buy the gifts. And so my point actually, so this isn't a dream for me. This actually is my everyday life. So if you happen to be a believer in any sort of faith, for an atheist, that's sort of what it feels like. It feels like you're walking around, and everyday people who are otherwise sane and intelligent believe in a mystic person where we have evidence. You can trace back the history of Christmas to other traditions like Yule, where we have all the evidence in the world to show that it's not true, but who will still cling to the belief that Santa Claus that their deity is real. And so it's a nice thought experiment if you want to understand atheists.